Well, joining me now is royal author Tom Bower, former butler to Princess Diana Paul Burrell, and the law and commentator Paula Roan Adrian, who's turned up looking magnificent tonight.
Thank you, Piers.
Is this prompting me to stumble into a "where are you really from" question?
And ask me where my people are from, Piers. Absolutely.
Well, I actually wasn't on air after all that. And I know you took part in a debate about it. I mean, my thing is quite interesting. A lot of friends of mine, and some family actually, well, I think the treatment of Lady Susan has been way over the top. She's an 83-year-old woman, didn't really know what she was doing, dug herself into a hole, probably didn't even realise until the balloon went up the next day. Where's our sense of forgiveness? All this kind of thing. I personally felt that her asking where this lady came from, given she was dressed in her garb from her African and Caribbean heritage, I thought it was perfectly reasonable to ask, where are you from? Right to the point where she tells you, I'm born in Britain and I'm British. At that point, the interrogation has to stop. And she carried on in what became an increasingly cringe-making way,
yes,
which I think if I had been a black woman in that position, I would have found actually very offensive.
And I'm glad that you said the word interrogation, because that's what it was.
It's the way it felt, right?
However, we stopped there with our agreements, because you reference her as being this 83-year-old woman who was digging herself a hole. We're talking about somebody whose job it was and who was present throughout 50 years in terms of diplomacy, assisting the Queen as her lady-in-waiting. This wasn't a woman who lived at the bottom of my street in Plaistow or Upton Park, an East Ender. OK, this was a woman who was well-educated and should have known better. And with age comes wisdom. There's
Paul,
no excuse.
you must know Lady Susan Hussey.
I know her very well.
What was your reaction to it all?
I actually felt sorry for the whole situation developing the way it did, because Lady Susan is 83 and she's not up on the woke society and what we should say or shouldn't say.
Paul, how many policies are in place? How
But they're not.
How many training sessions do they have?
No, they don't.
You know,
They're ladies in
countless
waiting who answer
times.
mail. They sign letters on behalf of the Queen.
How could they be so apparently insensitive after all the aggravation around Meghan Markle?
Because the palace is. It's dysfunctional. You know that, Piers. It doesn't work the way we think it works. It works
Or the way we think
100
it
years
should work.
ago.
All right, but Tom, why should age be an excuse? I know lots of people in their 80s who don't feel it necessary to be that clumsy when they speak to black people. Why should we give her a pass?
Well, you know, Piers, on this subject, I really want to pass because I don't really think.
Do you know
that
what? Don't pass, because this is exactly what we need to do. We need to have
interesting to
uncomfortable
discuss it.
discussions. Yes, please don't pass.
You're not allowed to pass, Tom.
I
I've
can
never known
pass.
you pass on anything.
No,
I don't
on
think Lady
racism,
Susan.
do.
I don't think Lady Susan
Well,
is
well,
racist.
because you
This
think
is
it's
the
not really
problem.
your place to say
I
whether a
just
black
think-
person felt racially offended.
I think I'm sure she did feel offended. I'm sure she
sure
did.
she did.
That's I've no doubt about that at all. Is whether the situation should have arisen there. I really don't. I wasn't there, and I'm going to pass.
OK, let's move on to what we're going to talk about tonight, which is this Netflix series.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems to me to be confirming everyone's worst fears, probably worse, actually. And them whacking the media is one thing. They've been doing that the whole time, whilst using the media when it suits them, as they are now with Netflix. If you're King Charles, if you're the new Prince of Wales, this is an absolute hammer blow, this series. This is the real-life crown sticking it to them, right, when they least want anyone to stick it to them. They're trying to rebuild the monarchy after the death of our greatest monarch. That's my objection with it.
Well, I think it's worse than that because I think it's the lies which is the bigger objection. And first of all, the whole premise of today's trailer was about the impossible for a woman outsider to become an insider. Well, Kate Middleton did it.
Perfectly acceptable.
Sophie
yeah.
Wessex did it.
Yeah.
And Diana was not an outsider. The Spencer family were as inside as you can be.
Yeah.
The second thing which I find really objectionable is their attack on the media. This is a couple, as you rightly said in your introduction, with Oprah Winfrey, The Cut, Variety.
Never stop.
It doesn't
Never stop the media.
And so they are the greatest manipulators. And you've forgotten in your list Scobie's Frightening Freedom,
Right.
where they lied on oath that they had no...
collaborating, yeah.
Collaborating. So they are really they're the rotten. But I think the most important element now is how is the palace going to react? Yeah. And
What would you do if you were them?
I think the only way they can react is after the Netflix series giving an interview. I think either the King or William have got to break this idea of never complain, never explain. They've got to take it head on.
But you know what? If you
And
lie
this-
down with dogs, Tom, you get fleas.
Well, I disagree with you because I think that it'll be a global sensation. Then comes the book, and I don't think that the royal family can allow the lies which the Sussexes are perpetuating to go unanswered.
I mean, the sheer number of lies in the trailers about these pictures, none of which actually depict what we're being led to believe they depict.
But it's going to be much worse. We know that. We've known that for months.
Yeah.
We've been saying it for months. This is going to be a bombshell.
It's Armageddon, yeah.
It is. And
Paula,
so you can't really...
We've talked about this a lot. How do you defend what they're doing? Given that clearly the intent now is very clear to do as much damage as they can to the royal family and the monarchy, regurgitating stuff they've been saying now for years to maximum damaging effect. How do you defend it?
Piers, this isn't about defending. This is about identifying pain. And what we are witnessing here are two people who are in pain.
I don't believe it.
But you don't have to.
No.
But you are witnessing the fallout of it.
I think she's an actress
you don't
playing
have
the
to
role of her
believe
life
it.
in this series.
You don't have to accept. You don't have to accept that you've insulted me. You don't have to accept it. But you will have to accept the fallout from insulting me because I am going to react to it. And this is the problem that the royal family have.
You
and I don't think the answer is for them to do an interview. I think that would be the worst thing that they could do.
Why should
what
they
they
do? Why
need to
should
do
they
is
accept-
get in a professional mediator. What they need to do is now start dealing with the problem.
But what
the
is the
problem
problem?
exists, and we had a glimpse of that with Miss Hussey and Miss
No,
Fulani.
no, don't conflate the two.
Well, you
Forget
say
Lady
that,
Hussey.
but when we're talking about
They were
racism, it's very
complaining
hard to prove
they
racism.
were complaining about
You
it long
can't-
before
you
Lady
can't
Hussey
do
came along.
that.
I have.
that was a
their
bit-
truth is their lies. That is the whole point. They invent.
Well, we know in
what they
Oprah
call
there were
it.
at least 17 lies, right? I'm going to be counting on Netflix. There were 6 lies in the trailers about the pictures which don't depict what they say.
Which were no doubt produced by the trainee part-time
Oh, come on,
person
but
who was
the
putting together the
slickest-
flips.
the
Come on, that was
slick
nothing to do with,
Paul,
Harry and Meghan.
Here's my question, Paul, for
Yes.
you, Paul. You're King Charles.
Yes.
What on earth do you do, given that one of these two people trying to ruin everything you represent is your own son?
You take away the titles. I agree with you. You do. Absolutely. They don't want to be members of the royal family, so why should they trade on royal
Because
titles?
they'll then be the prince.
He
can't
will
take
always
away
be a
the
prince,
He'll
yes.
always-
He will always
she'll-
be a prince, and then
she
she'll
says
become a
already
princess.
She's the princess.
Well-
so that's the problem is that the lies have got to be confronted. You cannot rely on, when a reporter shouting at William as they did after the opera and everything, are you racist?
So
He
then
said, we're not a
fix
racist
the problem
family.
with professional help.
But
don't fall into the trap of fighting hate bombs with hate bombs, because that's what's
There's no
happening.
hate bombs.
The only hate bombs are coming from Meghan and Harry.
are hurting. They feel
They're not
as
hurting,
if...
they're counting their money. They have worked out.
But they have to
the only
earn,
currency-
Piers. Where else are they going to
But
get
the
money
only
from?
way they can earn money
they
is
chose
trashing
it.
their family.
Yeah, they chose
It's the
it.
only thing they do.
I mean,
Year in,
so the
year out now,
charitable work
everything
that they
do.
you're just going to discount that?
That is all about
That doesn't
sustaining their
exist
royal
anymore?
status so they can trash their family for the big bucks.
Piers,
It-
that's
Piers,
just clearly not
it's
true.
all smacks of self-obsessed narcissism to me. And I always
You've
think...
been quite supportive of Harry in the
Absolutely,
past.
you know. I
Has this
love
crossed
Harry.
a line for you?
I've crossed the line because Harry decided to take this path to America. He decided to do what he did for the right reasons to protect his family. I thought, great, Diana would have applauded that. His mother would have said, great, Harry, you're doing the right things. She would not have applauded what he's doing now.
No.
The commercialism around it. She never took a cent, never took a penny
And she never
from
attacked
anyone
the
else.
monarchy as an institution.
She was a great supporter of the monarchy.
Yeah.
She said to me, I long to hug my mother-in-law. I long to put my arms around her. I know what goes on inside her head. And she was very proud of her boys being members of the royal family. She always thought it was Harry's job to be William's wingman, to be there for him on his path to monarchy.
Paula,
that was his job.
Paul, if one of your family was doing this constantly for huge amounts of money, just abusing you and the rest of your family, would you be as tolerant of it?
You have to be, because the problem's never going to be resolved.
I'm not sure you do, actually. I think you
It
actually
will
reach a point where you
never-
cut them adrift. You
it
say
will-
no.
it will
I was
never
trying to think
be
if one of my own
resolved. But what
sons
are we
did this to me,
talking about?
or one of my own brothers did this to me, what would I do? Actually, after years of it, you go, I'm done.
Yes,
I'm
yes,
done.
you do.
But
you do.
Piers, what
You don't
are we
ask for a
talking
mediator.
about?
You say no.
We're talking
They're making
about
money
racism.
to trash their family.
We're talking
in
about you're
public.
talking about trashing the family.
Yeah.
You're talking about people who feel that their mental health
Tell me
was
one.
so
All right,
was
tell me,
so
tell me one
affected
bad-
that she was going to
tell me
commit
one-
suicide.
tell me
That's
one-
what we're talking
tell me-
about.
well, as you know, I don't believe a lot of that stuff.
I know.
Right.
So I've heard.
Tell me one bad thing that Charles or William has said publicly about Meghan and Harry.
I'm not aware of any, and I'm not suggesting that they
That's
have.
it.
It's the opposite.
That's
I'm
it.
suggesting
It's all
that's
one
the
way.
line they continue to take.
It's all one way.
I am completely with
danger-
Not
that
one word
line.
from either of them critical of
But
those
Piers,
two.
we all
But
know...
that doesn't mean we ignore what Harry and Meghan are saying. And that doesn't mean we don't
I don't
confront
believe
the
what they're saying.
Netflix programme.
I don't believe it. Tom?
Well, I just think you've got to start at the beginning. Meghan came to Britain thinking she was going to be numero uno. She was going to be the star. She couldn't understand.
She didn't understand the hierarchy system.
She didn't want to understand it. When she understood
Who
it,
helped her
she wanted out.
understand it? Who helped her
They all
understand
went out of their way to
16
help.
Actually, the
people
Queen did.
helping her. 16
The Queen did.
people were helping her. She had really intelligent, devoted women, highly
These are
committed.
people who understand what
The
it
Queen-
is to be a black female, who understand what it is to be an American,
She didn't
who
arrive
understand
as
what
a
it is in terms
Okay,
of
look, the good news
cultural
is we've only
identity.
seen the trailers and the series drops first 3 episodes on Thursday.
Yeah, I can't bear
We'll
it.
all watch it, whether we want to or not. And
We'll
we're
sit
going to have a
together.
big,
We'll
we're
sit
gonna have a big
together
debate.
and I'll hold your
Well, you can
hand.
sit back on here on Thursday night and we'll debate it when we actually see what's in it.
Yes.
But I dread to think what
It's
they're
too
going to
much.
come out with.
It's too much.
Yeah.
They are in danger of destroying what is good about Britain,
I agree.
our royal family.
I agree.
Our king, not yet had his coronation, and William and Kate, who
Yeah.
are going to be our future king and queen.
Paul, but
what they did to
something
their...
needs to be
yeah.
fixed.
They
If
can't-
something
Okay.
needs
They
to
can't
be
do
fixed.
this in public.
I'm going to leave you two to walk off into the sunset together, holding hands, the odd couple. Tom, good to see you. Thank you all very much indeed.